All right, guys. So our next topic here is a bit of a doozy and a bit of a disturbance in the force, if you will. Um, I had to do it.
That was good. That was good. That was
I
good.
had to do it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, definitely.
it was good. It was a slight disturbance in the force here because I'm sure everyone's heard by now, but we got to address it because it's the big Star Wars news. Unfortunately, is back to being something that you could call negative, but at least this time it's not necessarily as a result of something from Star Wars. Just one of their, employees, someone living in the world and playing in the world of Star Wars, and that is, of course, the Cara Dune, Gina Carano situation here, where Lucasfilm and Disney, however way you want to look at it, they have decided to part ways with her. Should note too that it wasn't just Disney that parted ways with her. Her agency also parted ways with her too after all of this. So she was dropped by her agents and dropped from the Mandalorian television show where Cara Dune was a pretty predominant character. I mean, they were actually going to look, and I think this all started. This is like kind of speculation, but kind of confirmed in other ways that because we know that we have the Rangers of the New Republic, or is it just Rangers of the Republic?
I think it's of the New Republic.
Yeah, well, whichever one it was. I believe she was rumored, Cara Dune, to be a main character in that, if not the lead of that. But
Not anymore.
theoretically speaking, though, there was supposed to have been back, because this didn't just come out of the blue, despite what a lot of people think. Like, Disney had actually met with her multiple times, because ever since, like, November, she had been saying things, like, vocally on her social media, which she definitely has the right to do. She can say whatever she wants. But, again, we were kind of saying off camera, but, like, if it's your right to say whatever you want, then it's, your company's right to do whatever they want with your, paycheck at that point. And that means if they want to drop you, they can drop you.
I got a good
Nothing
one.
on them.
I guess you could say she's a Cara Dune now. Cara Dune.
Cara Dune. That's true.
That didn't come out as good as I thought it would.
Yeah, that's what she said. No. But no, so yeah, it's just like if a good example too. It's just like if you're an asshole to everybody around you, then like that's your choice. You can say whatever you want and do whatever you want, but then it's everyone else's choice whether or not they want to still be around you and be your friend.
Associate with you.
Yeah, it's the same concept. It's like because I know it's been documented that Disney had reached out to her multiple times and just asked her to like stop saying such controversial things publicly like that. Quit like just because whatever you say reflects on us. So it's like you say whatever you want. You can take all the hate that you want to take. That's all on you. But then it starts to trickle down to them, and like then they have no part of it. They don't really care what you say. Like in essence, not like they support it or don't support it or whatever. Like what she was saying isn't technically speaking like what they had a problem with. It was just the fact that she was like saying it. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? How I'm trying to say that?
Yeah.
Like it's just the fact that it was such controversial things. It reflects poorly on them, not whether or not they agree or disagree with what she's saying, because that's not what anybody has came out and explicitly said. Now, granted, the latest thing she said, I don't think anybody really agrees with on any level, and that's kind of why the breaks were cut.
Well, the thing that gets me though is there is people out there that don't mind it because the backlash has been insane. I'm on Star Wars groups on Facebook, and I mean, people are literally like, "I'm done with Star Wars. I'm done with the Mandalorian," and it's like, are you though?
Well, what blows my mind with that is like,
she wasn't even that big of a.
Yeah, who cares? Cara Dune. Like, if you're looking at it from a Star Wars standpoint, who cares? Like, it's just some random shock trooper that could be cut and pasted with anybody.
Yeah.
Like, anybody.
Didn't bother me a bit, personally.
And unfortunately, too, like, I love Pedro Pascal, but, like, he could be cut and pasted with anybody, too. He's wearing a helmet 99.9% of the time. Yeah. You know what I mean? Now, granted, if you watch the behind-the-scenes stuff for season 2, he was actually on set for, like, it looked like every episode.
Yeah.
Like, so he did a lot of the work actually in season 2. It was reported that in season 1 he was barely there. Like Bryce Dallas Howard, with her whole episode, like she said after the fact that she never even got to meet Pedro, so he wasn't even there for the whole episode that she directed in season 1. But the behind the scenes thing showed that he was pretty much there all the time.
Yeah.
more of an interesting side note. But yeah, I don't understand the huge backlash from a Star Wars standpoint. Like that confuses me, just because, like, are we watching the same show? Because it's called The Mandalorian, not Cara Dune, The Adventures of Cara Dune. But about that, she was supposed to, it was rumored that prior to that Disney press conference where they announced Rangers of the New Republic, they wanted to give Cara Dune her actual own show. And I think what I've heard and what makes the most sense is that since they couldn't trust her, because at this point in time, they already had, I think, 2 or 3 meetings with her about how expressive she had been being, and like asked her to stop, like just saying it publicly. Just tone it down. You can believe whatever you want to believe. Everybody loves working with you, but just stop saying the stuff. Stop saying it out there, because it just looks bad.
You're jeopardizing your job.
Yeah, it looks bad on the company. You know, like it doesn't matter. It's like it doesn't matter if we agree or disagree. It's like there's half the world out there. It's frowned upon. Like it looks bad on us. Like, you know, we can't be in a position where we defend you and then we're defending what you're saying, or we're supporting what you're saying. You know, they want to be Switzerland. Like the company needs to be Switzerland. Every company like that needs to be like that. And but yeah, she was supposed to have her own show, and I think that the reason it became Rangers of the New Republic was because they needed to be able to just have an ensemble and have other people like be in and out in case this day inevitably came.
It's like they almost had it in mind, like, hey, this could happen down the road. But
yeah, because everything I've heard, she was supposed to explicitly have her own show, and that evolved into something that was a little bit less Cara Dune specific.
Yeah,
because Rangers of the New Republic can be anything.
Oh yeah,
you know, not the Adventures of Cara Dune and got his name again. The Arnie handshake.
Carl Weathers.
Carl Weathers. The Adventures of that's the first thing I always think of when I think of Carl. I don't think of Creed. I don't think of Apollo Creed. I think of the handshake from Predator.
Yeah.
I mean, why would you not?
Was that from Predator?
Yeah, it was in Predator. It was the beginning of the first Predator.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good movie. Good movie. What do you think, John? What do you think about this? Do you like? Because I know, like, politics aside, but
sure. So here's. I hope I can say this succinctly. I feel bad for fandom. There's a part of me that feels bad for Gina Carano, not because of what she said and what happened to her, but just because she was not able to be self-aware enough to realize that, you know, she was kind of hurting herself by doing this. There used to be an old adage that you don't talk about politics, and it was kind of this idea that, you know, there's such divisive topics that rarely does anything good come about discussing them with other people. You know, people can have your political opinions, you can have your political beliefs, and you go to the voting box and you vote the way that best aligns with those beliefs. And you can have your religious beliefs, and on Sunday or whatever day of the week you practice your faith, you go and you practice your faith. But when you're in everyday society with other people, you kind of keep those opinions to yourself, unless there are people you kind of share it with, because there isn't a lot good that comes from taking these things that are faith based in a lot of ways, and blowing them up and making them the end all be all. But somewhere along the way, my feeling is that the American society has lost that. And anymore, everybody feels that not only do they need to express those beliefs, but that their beliefs or their feelings on certain subjects are absolute and the end all be all. That a counter opinion doesn't have any validity to it. And so we've created this very combative, contentious society now, where companies in Disney's position are forced almost into a nightmare public relations corner. If Gina Carano is saying things that a large number of people feel are inappropriate and wrong, then Disney has to at some point Disney has to do a simple cost benefit analysis. If we continue to employ Gina Carano, we will lose X number of viewers, fans, whatever, because they don't like what she is saying and what she represents. If we don't get rid of her and we keep her, if we do get rid of her and we lose her, then we lose this segment that is also just as vocal, but believes in what she's saying and has that. So from Disney, I understand that people are mad at Disney, but in the age that we live in, Disney is they're a business and they're there to make money, and so they have to run those numbers. What do we think is the bigger hit to our image, our bottom line? Is it keeping her or is it getting rid of her? In this case, it seems like they thought that getting rid of her gave them the best opportunity to continue profits and continue making the show that they feel they need to make. For all the talk about doing the right thing and like society, that's not the right thing. For all the talk of them doing the right thing, I guess, and I I really believe behind the scenes at the end of the day, it's a bottom line thing. Like, are we hurting our business by keeping her employed? And that's what it was. Like you mentioned, she has gotten multiple opportunities. Talking talking they've talked to her multiple times about the things that she was posting on social media, and I wish there's a part of me that wishes that she had been able to heed those warnings and say, "Maybe there's a different way to present my message. Maybe there's a different way I can go about supporting the things that I believe in, besides such uh, a combative nature, with the company that I work." So, I feel like I kinda rambled there. I hope my point came across. I think, it's ironic that part of me, I guess, is saying, like, I wish people would just keep their opinions to themselves, and at the same time on a, show where we are doing nothing but offering our opinions on entertainment things that are going on. But I guess with religion and politics in particular, they're such divisive topics that I don't see a lot of good that comes no matter which side you're coming from. There rarely does it seem like there's anything good that comes from, um, blowing these topics up and sticking to them, like drawing a line in the sand.
No, I'm with you because that's the thing, and that's totally is something like it's so weird. Like the whole that line between like keeping like religion and politics like out of the workplace is supposed to be like the whole separation of church and state. It's
Exactly.
like that line seems to just be so blurred anymore. It's like you have like, and I'm not saying whether it's good or bad. I'm just saying like if you just go and look at the like watch any senator you want, and it's like like any I don't know 2 out of 4. So we'll just say half. That was a stupid thing to say. 2 out of 4, 1 out of 3, maybe even more than that. One of them's gonna bring up their faith about something, or like why they made a decision or something. It's like you're supposed to explicitly not be doing that, and it's like no one even cares anymore.
Well, it's like in
Like,
school getting a warning, the principal calls you into his office and he's like, "Hey, you're going to get expelled or suspended if you don't quit doing this." And that's exactly what happened to her. She just kept doing it and she suffers the consequences. So,
yeah,
I mean, contracts are in writing and, if you're not going to abide by the contract, they've got every right to do that.
yeah,
Especially when it's something somewhat people would say hateful or, you know,
it was bad. The last
bad
tweet she
taste.
said was explicitly in bad taste.
It was.
Like,
It was.
it's like you can like, because I bet if she would have phrased that differently, who cares? She's been vocal the whole time. You know what I mean? And like for the most part, she's kept her job the entire time too. Like
Yeah.
she was asked to tone it down and not be as like expletive about things. And she still continued to use social media after she had those talks and everything was fine. It was just until the line was crossed that I just couldn't really put up with it. Like John said, it's like the bottom line kind of thing. It's like, what's the risk, cost risk analysis kind of situation here? It's like, how many people do we keep if we get rid of her? How many do we lose if we get rid of her? What's the difference? You know, it's like, and like I said, from in the end, from my standpoint, someone who's completely like, I don't care about like any of it from like a political or economical standpoint because I'm not in the game with that. Like I'm someone who likes Star Wars. So I'm completely looking at it from a Mandalorian watching the Star Wars show like kind of aspect, and like I don't care. Like her character is not important to the show. You can argue it all you want, but it's like genuinely her character is not important to the show. Like the show can easily move on without her. Like she wasn't a part of a crucial narrative that like some other character couldn't just replace her. Like, I liked her character. I thought it was the best performance as far as acting goes that she's given in her really whole career on The Mandalorian. But it's not something that's going to like ruin the Mandalorian show with her not being a part of it. I'm more like John, where it's like, I kind of just feel bad for her in the sense that like this was like who would not want that gig? And it's like you couldn't just have like the foresight or just, I don't know, control over like yourself to just not do one thing. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's arguably one of the biggest, if not the biggest shows out right now. And it's just like you just threw all that away because you'd rather voice your opinion, you know, and
well, and just like distasteful ways, because that's the problem. Like, it's like she has she's expressed her opinions on things and like no one cares. It's when she says things like that, you know, the things that require Disney to come in and say, you can't really say that. Like, we can't have you saying that because it reflects badly on us. You know what I mean? Like, you can have your opinion, just rephrase it. You know, you can't say something as, you know, in poor taste as like the last one was. Like, that's the problem.
If you feel strong enough that you need to add your opinion out there on topics, I you know, she was, ironically enough, I think she was trying to, at least from what I've read, I think she was trying to comment on the ability of people to speak their mind and say what they think in today's age. Which is ironic that she then lost her job. But if she felt the need to be part of that public discussion on that topic, why not take the time and send the Instagram post or story or the tweet or whatever your platform of choice is? Send that to Disney PR and say, hey, look, even if you don't have your own PR, send it to Disney PR and say, hey, look, this is really important to me. I want to add my voice to this conversation. This is what I want to put out. I guarantee somebody from Disney would have looked at that and said, nah, can you try that a different way? And if she had, you know, maybe that would have given her the opportunity. But yet again, it goes back to my whole thing of like, people think that people are more concerned with having their opinion out there and being validated by those that agree with them than they are with, you know, in her case, than she was with her job, it seems like.
No, for sure. And like, in the end, Gina Carano is like gonna be fine, and she's already bounced back. She has a new gig with Ben Shapiro's The Daily Wire, as I pulled up here before. It's kind of, you know, it's not The Mandalorian, but what else really is other than like WandaVision at this point? But I mean, she'll be back on her feet. I mean, it's not like it's like she's on the streets now or anything. Like, she'll be fine. And I get why people are upset about it. I just don't get why, like, if you can't understand where like Disney's coming from, and then like anybody who was offended by what she said, then like that's your own problem in all reality. Like, you got to be able to see it from both sides, whether you support it or not. I'm not surprised by it mainly. You know, like when you see what was happening and you look at the events that led up to it, it's like, well, yeah, why would you not? Like, you know, it's like you said, Rick. It's like how many times do you have to get detention before you get suspended? You know, it's like you had your warnings, you had your second warning, your third warning, you know, 3 strikes you're out kind of thing. This is what it is. But she'll be fine. Like, if you support her, then like continue supporting her. I mean, that's really, realistically speaking, if you are upset about it, yelling at Disney or whoever you want to yell at is not going to help Gina Carano in any way, shape, or form. You just support her and what she's doing now, if that's how you feel. You know what I mean? Like,
the other part of this too is, I mean, we live in this constant news cycle nowadays where a topic blows up and it becomes the biggest thing in the world, and that's all everyone talks about. I mean, give it 24 hours or 48 hours, something else will come up. Somebody else will do something, you know, they shouldn't, or that they get reprimanded for or something, and you know, this might by this time next week, this might be news. I don't know, and she's going to end up, you know, being the one still dealing on a daily basis. Not the people that are bashing her, and not the people that are supporting her so vocally and publicly. Right, those people will move on to something else as quick as something else comes up.
Yeah.
And that's where I say, like, that's where I feel bad for Gina Carano person, because this thing that she felt so strongly about has been is ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, a blip on the radar to most of the people. She is being used to make political points or societal belief points on both sides for as long as the news cycle will have her, until it decides to roll over to something else. Meanwhile, as Star Wars fans, like you said, I think you like the character of Cara Dune. I actually really like Cara Dune. I thought her portrayal was great.
Yeah.
You have one of the greatest memes ever in Grogu in his coffee cup, watching Cara and Mando go at it when they first meet. And I mean, there's things about her portrayal and that character in particular that really added some charm and some I don't know, some heart I felt to the story. But ultimately, she was a secondary character to the main story. So losing her does not, it doesn't, it's not like the series is over now. Completely retool. They find a way to write her out, or I mean, they may even recast. I don't know. But just the whole thing and the way
I don't think they can recast this with how much backlash there has been.
Yeah,
I mean,
'cause
in
that would, I
normal
think,
circumstances, I think that probably would have been fine.
I
But
don't.
like, again, too, it's like, is it a character that needs to go on? Like, Marvel's not even recasting T'Challa, which that's crazy to me.
Yeah,
But like,
the show will go on. Like,
yeah, 100%. Like, that's the thing. Like, I don't want it to sound like I'm like coming at it from like a who cares, because like I see the implications, and I think the greater thing that people should be worried about is the whole like cancel culture side of it, where it's like you can't even say what you want and then you lose your job and all that. Like I get that part of it, where it's like, now people are just getting fired. Like, look at James Gunn. He said some stuff like 10 years ago, and
some
freaking
pretty messed up stuff
yeah.
too.
And like, but I mean, it was 10 years ago. It wasn't something he was actively tweeting
No.
today, but they still fired him. And then like the guy who played Elongated Man on The Flash, same concept, like got fired over just saying stuff online. But at the same time, these are stupid things that people are saying. And it's like, just like I said, like, you have the right of free speech, but then like these companies have the right to not employ you if what you're saying can damage the company. Like, it just it is what it is. But like, I get it. But at the same time, look at what they're actually saying, and it's like, I don't know, like, if you can't understand why it would be offensive to people, or why a company wouldn't want you representing them by saying those things, because again, it just looks badly on them, then I don't know. Like I said, that's on you. Like, I can't really explain it. Like, I understand why it looks bad. Like, it's not really good things to say. So, but she is going to be on this, starring in an upcoming movie that's going to be exclusive to Daily Wire members, and I don't really think it says anything about what it is. But again, if you want to continue to actually support her, then I guess go be a Daily Wire member and then watch the movie like when it comes out.
Yeah.
So I mean,
really do.
I mean, that's the upcoming thing that she's going to be doing. I'm sure she'll have more stuff coming up too. So if you're upset about it, actually support her instead of trashing other people, because that's not really going to help anybody. That actually inevitably ends up hurting them more, because like, again, like, the company won't want to have to jump into bed with that, because then they have to like constantly be worried about, well, if we like what happens if we have to part ways with her like Disney did, then we'll get all this backlash, because all these people just attack them, and like, it's just worse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's always better when people are more civil with each other. You know what I mean? So, but the question is, guys, what do you think about this? Are you upset that Cara Dune, the character itself, is gone? I mean, even if the statements that she said didn't affect you directly, like, do you think it was a mistake for them to fire her for them, or like, do you feel this kind of the same way I do, where it's like, I can see why that would be offensive to many people, and why a company wouldn't want that kind of stuff out there, because it looks bad on them. Like, I get that. I understand where that's coming from. It's unfortunate that it happened. And like John kind of said, I just kind of feel bad that like she couldn't have found a way just to express her like opinions and what she supports in a way that was less I don't know, in poor taste or whatever, however you want to describe it. Find a way to actually say what you want without being offensive. You know what I mean? That's I really think the biggest crime here is. And like just in general, like because it's not just her. It's like I think everyone wants to have their point like come out, across in the most tasteful way so that people actually take it seriously and don't take offense to it. Because if it just comes out as offensive or wrong, then you don't actually get heard. You just get yelled at afterward. So, but let me know or let us know in general what you think down in the comment section below.